The guy my 18 male, mom, 39 female is dating is acting really creepy towards my sister, 20 female. This has caused my mom to act weirdly jealous towards my sister. What can we do to make my sister feel safer and make him stop creeping on her? And for our mom to stop acting this way towards her. Oh my god, that was the longest title ever. Okay, so this is one big overall issue, but it's actually two different problems that are directly linked. A, this guy acting really creepy towards my sister, and B, my mom acting jealous towards my sister, I think, as a result. A bit of background, my sister was conceived when my parents were still pretty young, 18, and they got married as a result. I always used to tease my sister back when I was a horrible kid about how she was the accident and I was the planned one. After they got married, they had a son, me. Alas, their marriage was not meant to last, and while I think they did truly come to love each other and care for each other through the sharing of two kids, they were ultimately two different people who wanted two different things from life. My mom wanted to settle down in a classic suburbia and have a classic life. My dad was more of an adventurer in traveling across the world and skydiving and whatnot. They got divorced while we were quite young, and while it was difficult initially for the pair of us to understand, we never felt unloved, and our dad was always there in our life. He was never neglectful or anything. While our mother was our primary custodian, is that the right custodian? Our dad used to come by quite often and help out. So while they were divorced, they still had a pretty good relationship. Sometimes it was almost like they were dating, and I think they did enjoy each other's company. But ultimately, they were two very different people to be tied down to one another permanently. Anyway, my mom is dating this guy. I think he's about the same age as my mom, more or less. She's actually known for quite some time as an acquaintance. She knows him from work, but they've never been that close and started dating not that long ago, maybe around Christmas last year. Anyhow, she seems quite infatuated with him, but from the start, something seemed weird about him. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie American Psycho, but my sister and I loved that movie, and we both think this guy is pretty much Patrick Bateman. Outwardly, he's the perfect, chiseled, accomplished business guy. He's charming, polite, almost too charming. As a son, I might just be naturally suspicious because he's dating my mom, but he always gave me this serial killery vibe right from the start. Not saying he's a serial killer, but let's just say it wouldn't be the biggest surprise if I found out that he was. Something just seems unnatural about him. Like almost everything he does, wears, says is fake and is perfectly calculated to give off the image that he wants of himself. I suppose that's how you have to be to succeed in the business world, but I never liked him. He never struck me as a genuine person. Anyhow, my mom seemed to be quite infatuated with him, and she seemed really happy with him from the start. He expressed affection to her quite often, and I think she really appreciated that. It made her feel youthful, if I had to guess. Now, to get down to the root of the issue. This guy started doing some seriously creepy stuff towards my sister. At first, we didn't say anything, but only my sister and I noticed. The biggest one was one morning when we were all having breakfast at the table, he was there sitting across from me having his cereal, and my sister was bending over to pick something up. And I saw him look right at her butt crack, and then he looked at me and smiled and nodded his head towards her like, hey, giving off a super creepy smile. My mind was thinking like, what the F? But I just ignored it because I didn't want to make a scene or anything. I told my sister about it as soon as I had the chance, and she agreed that he was really creepy. She told me sometimes she feels him staring at her, especially from behind. She told me a bunch of times he made her feel really uncomfortable. Like one time she was brushing her hair in the bathroom and he just came up behind her and put his hands on her shoulder and started having a long conversation with her, which included telling her how nice she smelled. She told me she'd never felt more uncomfortable in her life. She said sometimes when she's sitting on the couch watching a movie or TV, he would come by and sit by her and edge closer and put his arm around her, and she would feel really uncomfortable. This was in addition to all the times she caught him trying to sneak glances at her. I also started noticing this, like at the breakfast table when she was walking past or whatever. He would start taking glances of her from the corner of his eye. Sometimes when my sister and I are up in her bedroom and watching something on her laptop together or listening to music together, he would come up and be like, hey kids, what are you up to? And just sit beside her and put his arm around her and watch whatever we're watching and like not leave at all. Sometimes I feel like he's super extra nice to her more than to me or my mom. He's way more touchy with her and tries to sit as close to her as he can, taking glances and peeks here and there. Needless to say, we both felt very uncomfortable. My first suggestion is that we have to tell my mom about this. My sister insisted no. She'd get mad at us for suggesting we can't tell her. I insisted she has to know that this dude was creeping on her daughter, and eventually my sister relented and agreed. We went and told our mom, but she just laughed it off and told us that we were being paranoid and ignored the whole thing. He seems to really have her under his spell. However, this is where the second problem began. We both noticed right after we told her this, and we think she started becoming more aware of the way that he was acting, a weird change in our mother's behavior. First of all, she started acting almost more possessive of her boyfriend, almost like she was trying to claim him. Not sure what other words to use, but that's what it seemed like to me. She would suddenly be much more affectionate to him when he was around, like trying to kiss him more often, giving him hugs, being more cuddly with him and smiling around him, calling him more pet names, almost like she was trying to mark her territory and show that he was hers and she was his. It's crazy to think, but I think it's because she was starting to feel almost jealous or threatened by her daughter. She was scared of the fact that he might be more interested in her daughter than in her. I personally think she was becoming more aware of him acting creepy around my sister and taking stares and glances at her, which is what made her more nervous. She was being more lovey around him, trying to bring him closer to her. They started going to bed early, if you know what that means, and sometimes being disturbedly loud in the bedroom, though not that often, thank heavens. The other thing is she started acting jealous towards my sister and like policing her behavior and dress. For example, she started telling my sister off if her pajamas or nightwear or whatever were too revealing, especially if it was a night that her boyfriend was staying the night at our place. And she started insisting that my sister wear a bra at home, which really, really annoyed my sister for some reason. She was like, quote, "No way, I never wear a bra at home." Because normally she just wears a loose gray jumper or a loose gray shirt when she's at home. That isn't even remotely revealing or anything. My mom said it's inappropriate that she doesn't wear a bra under her clothes. And she was also like, quote, "You're grown up now. You need to wear one." But my sister said it was uncomfortable to wear one all the time and sleep in one. And she liked to relax when she's at home and not have to worry about that. But now it seems that our mom was making her worry about that. She was also policing other things that she wore, like ordinary clothes, and told her not to wear a towel around the house when she comes out of the shower. She was like, "What the F? Why?" And my mom was like, "We have two males in this house, your brother and my boyfriend. It's inappropriate." Which is weird as F, given that I'd live in this house with them all my life, and she'd never had a problem with it once before. Also, when my sister comes and bends over the couch to see what I'm doing, my mom would be like, "Dear, stand properly," or "Sit properly, that's not very ladylike." Sometimes she would even do it on nights when her boyfriend wasn't around, but it was mostly when her boyfriend was around, which indicated that the boyfriend was the real reason she was acting more policey and insecure. Sometimes the boyfriend wouldn't even be in the vicinity. Like my sister and I would be upstairs in her bedroom watching something, and my mom would come in and check on us and see what we're doing. Then she'd be like, "Sweetie, I told you to wear a bra more often." Needless to say, it's been annoying the F out of my sister. She's been getting massively annoyed and distressed by the whole thing. It's bad enough to have this total creep on her all the time when he's over, but now her own mother is clamping down on her and acting like a jealous, insecure teenager towards her own daughter. I can't even begin to imagine how much it's bothering her. She's talked to me a lot about it, and she's even told me how sick she is of all of it and how sick she is of living in this house. She told me she feels like she's not even safe in her own home anymore. She feels like she's being watched constantly, and she hates being alone with this guy. We tried telling our mother about it already, but she just brushed it off. My sister suggested we go live with our dad instead, since we're both adults, but I told her I don't think it would be too conducive to his lifestyle. He seems to like living on his own, and having two teenage brats in the way would hamper that. I told her, nevertheless, we should tell him about what's going on and maybe he can help. She immediately insisted, no, we shouldn't tell him. We shouldn't get him involved in this. I tried to reason and convince her, but she was totally against telling Dad. Now, this is the part where I feel bad, especially since I might show this post to her and show the replies to her later. Sorry, sis, but I did tell Dad. I had to. Sorry, really sorry. I made my dad promise to not let her know that I told him, but he gave me advice and told me to watch out for this guy. He told us to keep our distance, and when the time is right, he might have a chat with our mother about it. He also told me if I ever see him put one inappropriate hand on his daughter in an inappropriate place or anything, or try to make a move on her or anything, that I immediately tell him. He was like, he knows these sort of guys, the guys who think they can easily prey on young and naive girls who are still too scared to properly stick up for themselves. I told my dad about my sister wanting to move in with him. He said maybe for one of us, but not both, at least not permanently. I told my sister about that. She was like, she didn't want to leave me alone here, so she thought that if we move out, we should both move out together, and she felt safer having me around anyway. I told her I'd be fine on my own, but she was quite insistent. She suggested maybe looking for a place where we could both move out to and rent together. But I was like, nah, I'm not too interested in that. I kind of like living at home with mom. It's really comfortable and I have someone to look after me. She tried insisting. She seemed to think it was the only solution to get out of this environment, but I said I would consider it. But honestly, I'm not too keen on moving out at all. I have nothing against her moving out if she wants to, though. But she seems pretty keen that I move out too. So, yeah, that's the story. Two main issues. One last thing. My sister doesn't use Reddit, but she knows of it. I've considered showing her this post and showing her the replies that I get in case they are of any use to her. Do you guys think this is a good idea? If so, post advice to her as well. Oh, my Lord, have mercy on my life. That was a long story. The thing that's bothering me, okay, it's obviously bothering me that this guy is like being a creep, but why is it bothering me that the dad is like, no, only one of you can move in with me and not permanently? Okay. Like, that's so annoying to me and so rude to me. I just feel like you should, especially, first of all, you should let your kids move in because they're your literal kids. And second of all, if they tell you that this is happening, you should want them to move in. No? Kind of rude. And I do agree that the annoying part is like the sister should not be the one being forced out because this guy is a creep. But unfortunately, that might just be how it has to go because moms like this are the worst when they choose their boyfriends over their own kids. And then not only that, but also feel jealous towards their own kids because their boyfriends are being creepy towards their kids. Like, that should make you want to break up with them, not be extra possessive over them. Okay, replies from OP. I don't know why she would feel uncomfortable with our dad. He's our dad. She loves him. Of course, if there's no other option at all and the only safe option for my sister is for me to move out too, then I'll move out. But if her being alone with my dad would make her uncomfortable because he's a guy, wouldn't her being alone with me also hypothetically make her uncomfortable? Yeah, queen. I mean, king. Okay, so this is the update and it's the only update. Well, it's been a month since my first post, and the guy's gone, thankfully. However, my sister and I still moved out for a number of reasons. It all came to a head a few weeks ago when my mom was out of the house, and her boyfriend was hanging about the house. I was in my room and I heard my sister scream. It came from the bathroom. She was freaking out, saying he was hitting on her and touching her, trying to touch her, and she had told him to stop, and he wouldn't back off, so she screamed at the top of her lungs for me to come. He was denying everything, saying she was making it all up, saying she was overreacting. I told him he had to leave the house immediately or I was calling the police. He wouldn't, and I basically pushed him out while my sister called our dad. When he heard her calling our dad, he finally left the house, still insisting we were the crazy ones and he had done nothing. I reassured my sister and she was in a very shocked state. My dad came over and we comforted her and helped her feel better. He called my mom and she came back and we all explained the situation to her. That was the last time we ever saw mom's creepy boyfriend. He broke up with her shortly afterwards. I don't know why, but I guess after that situation, he didn't want to come back ever and had no interest in our mom. I'm really scared that he was maybe just pursuing our mother to get close to my sister the whole time and had no real intentions for our mother. My sister was kind of traumatized by the whole ordeal, and I convinced our dad to sleep with us for a few nights at our place just to be safe and so that my sister could feel safe. Naturally, mom was upset by how everything turned out, but we convinced her it was for the better that he was gone, and we finally got her to accept and admit that he was a creep all along and should never have been allowed in our house. Unfortunately, family problems didn't end there. My sister was way on edge for the next week, way more cranky and irritable than usual. I didn't blame her. She still wanted to move out. She said she hated living at home after everything that happened. She didn't feel safe. I told her the dude wasn't coming back, but she still wanted me to move out with her. She said stuff like, quote, "You don't really love me. I knew it. I don't love you either." Stuff like that, which was clearly attempting to guilt me and which I felt was extremely childish and immature. Unfortunately, our mom wasn't too helpful either. A couple of weeks later, she was already dating a completely new boyfriend. We didn't see much of this one, but from what I did see here and there, he seems nice enough and not too creepy. Unfortunately, mom started acting the same way again, telling my sister her clothing is too revealing, telling her to wear a bra, telling her to cover up in her own home, even when it was just the three of us around. I agreed to move out with my sister, and I talked the whole situation over with both of our parents and told them our plan. My sister and I would borrow some money from mom and some from dad, both of which we intended to pay back in full as soon as we could. We stayed a couple of days at dad's place, and from there we moved out into our own small place. It's small, sure, but pretty good considering it's within our affordability range. Things are going good so far, and we're moving forward. Yeah, I'm sure she was acting irritable because, like, that happened, and then your mom is still just. Honestly, this mom is a POS because please tell me why you have to convince her of this guy being a creep when she's seen firsthand that he's a creep, and she's, oh my god, she's just so obviously so male centered, and she only cares about having a guy or whatever, having a boyfriend. And it's like, maybe you should care about your own daughter. And you can just, like, that's so obvious that she's male centered and that she only cares about having a boyfriend because she literally got a boyfriend immediately after. And that guy definitely realized, oh my God, like, he was definitely like trying to groom her, I feel like, while he was living there. And then I feel like that last thing that he did was like, the final move of trying to see if she would like reciprocate, and when he realized that she wasn't and she actually was like screaming at the top of her lungs and scared of him, he's like, oh yeah, there's no chance that this girl's gonna want to be with me. And he definitely did not care about the mom at all. That's my intuition. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.